welcome to Northwest Connection. This episode, we're bringing you something fierce from the front lines of the heavy scene. We're backstage, the lights are low and the crowd's already rumbling. We've got Deathbloom in the house, the all-female force that's been detonating stages across the UK. Turn it up, lock in, let's get into it. Hello, welcome to Northwest Connection. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sophia from Deathbloom.
And who are we missing today?
We're missing everyone else. So we've got, in the band, we've got 2 guitars, bass, drums and singer. I do lead guitar. So just missing everyone else. But you know what it's like trying to get everyone together.
Yeah,
especially like when people work hospitality and they work nights as well.
Yeah.
So.
And how did Deathbloom come together?
So that's a funny story. So me and the singer Rianne, we used to work at McDonald's.
That's a first for us.
Yeah, and we got chatting at Mackey's and we got talking about music and we kind of had some music in common. You know, obviously like everyone in Mackey's is a normie and we were the only ones that were like alternative. So I was like, finally someone I can talk to about like some metal. And she was like, oh, I've always like loved singing, but I've never done anything. And I was like, I can ghostwrite for you and I can write just some instrumentals for you and pop them over and then you can do, you know, the lyrics and the vocals. Because I've been a musician for like 15 years now. So I was like, I can help you out with that. Because she's a little bit younger than me as well. I think she's like 6 years younger than me. I just did some songs for her and then we recorded them. And then we were like, oh shit, this is actually really fucking cool. And maybe we should just turn it into a band. So yeah, and then awesome. I found people for the band.
And how long have you been together?
4 years. It's gone quick.
And where did the band name come from?
So I came up with a band name. I'm like a big plant fan. And I just love plants and nature and wildlife. So yeah, and Deathbloom is like a plant phenomenon that happens to succulent plants. So when a plant is at its end of life, it shoots out a really, really big, tall flower, you know, in hopes to reproduce, and all its energy goes into this one bloom, and after that, the whole plant dies. And I thought that's quite savage, like, nature's savage, and I'm very inspired by that. So, yeah, that's where the name came from.
It's possibly the best description we've had for a name so far, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's definitely the most detailed name for a band.
Thank you. I'm just a deep thinker. I'll just sit in silence like a psychopath and think about stuff deeply.
And where is it that you're based?
So, we're based, as a general, Manchester, but specifically... one of us is in Stockport, one of us is in Manchester, 2 of us are in Bolton. I used to be in Bolton and now I've moved over to Wigan ends. So, but we're still fairly local.
And how is it that you started as a musician?
So I'm half Greek and I grew up in Greece. So we moved back over to England when I was like 15, and I could never afford like guitars or lessons or anything over there. So the first thing I did when we moved back to England was I got guitar lessons through the school, and I picked it up there, and then I guess I went on to do like solo stuff, and I've just always wanted to be in a girl band, to be honest. That's always been like a dream of mine, because you don't see much of them about, do you? Like,
You don't.
And so yeah, I started off that way. I know it's kind of similar for the rest of them. I think our drummer, she started off pretty young when she was like 15. She's always been in bands since she was young. And same for our guitarist. She's always been in bands around Manchester area. She used to front bands as well. And then obviously Rianne would have started off with me in Mackey's.
So did you meet the rest of the band through the scene in Manchester?
So I put a message on this Facebook page called Manchester Musicians Wanted, which is really, really good for getting bands together and finding like-minded folk. So I would recommend that for anyone who wants to like start a band. And then Eleanor, our guitarist, she got tags on that. So that's how I got into contact with her. And then and trying to find a fucking... Can I swear on here? Yeah. Okay. Trying to find a fucking female drummer is so hard. I mean, trying to find a drummer anyway is hard. But I was like, no, like, I'm going to do this. So I messaged a couple of mates and I was like, you know everyone. Do you know any female drummers? And then they was like, oh, I know this girl called Rebecca. So I just messaged this random girl on Instagram and I was like, hey, I know you don't know me, but do you want to be in my band? And we met up for a pint and fangirled over Hayley Williams for like 3 hours.
Was there ever a point when you were just like, you know what, this girl band, trying to get a girl band together is just too hard, we'll just get...
You know what, usually throughout my life, yes. But I think on this one occasion, everything just aligned. And I found people within like a few weeks. And I was like, how has this happened? Like, this has never happened before. So I was like, maybe it's a sign that this is meant to be. But yeah, otherwise, it's taken me, 15 years to get to this point.
So you mentioned Hayley Williams there, but who else are your musical influences?
So I do listen to a really wide variety of music. And a lot of foreign music. So obviously my favourite artists always change, but I think main influences, especially for Deathbloom, was Slow Crush, and like Holy Fawn, Chelsea Wolf, generally just bands and musicians that combine a really soft, dreamy, ethereal sound with like brutal heavy music. I just love the combination of both of that. And I know, especially for me, Eleanor, and Rianne, we all love Slow Crush. And it's been like one of our goal bands to like play with one day, kind of thing. And Faytooth are killing it. So yeah, there's I could like take up 3 hours talking about the stuff I listen to.
So how would you describe the Deathbloom sound to somebody who's never heard you before?
I would describe us as, I would say we are predominantly shoegaze, with dashes of like metal and hardcore in there. But we do try to keep up the groove a bit within the shoegaze songs because, sometimes it can be really repetitive. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but, we've all got fucking ADHD, so we can't do one thing for too long before getting bored, so we have to keep switching it up. So yeah, I'd say, like, heavy shoegaze would be a good way to describe it.
And what's the one thing that you want to hit people first when they first heard Deathbloom?
That's a good question. What would I like to hit people first with? Just that, like, we're genuinely serious and passionate about music. And, it's never been, like, an image thing or an ego thing. And everyone's equal in the band. And, we always say, like, the priority for us is that we enjoy it and that we love what we do. And as soon as you stop loving what you do in music, then it's over. So I think it would validate me if people got that from us, that we are really passionate about the music we make, and that's all we're in it for.
Is there a musician that's inspired you more than any others, or?
I think would have been the start for me. Right. Do you know Warpaint? Yeah. I've been on them since I was like 14. And they've never let me down. They've never made a bad album. And it's just been like, it's meant a lot to me because they're one of these bands that just don't give a fuck about image. And they'll like step off the tour van, messy hair in a bun, tracky bottoms on, an old ripped t-shirt, and they'll get on stage and play like the best music I've ever heard. And so that's always been such a huge inspiration to me. And actually we have a song called Ashes. And I originally wrote that song when I was like 16, and I had it on the back burner for ages, and then I just brought it out again with Deathbloom, and I was like, oh shit, we should do that. And that was like me paying homage to Warpaint. So Warpaint, if you're listening, please listen to Ashes.
If there's a support slot going.
Yeah, please, chuck it my way.
So you just mentioned the song that you've had on the back burner for a long time. How does the songwriting process start with Deathbloom? Do you write collaboratively, or is it you start with one idea at home?
So initially when we started, because I wanted to kind of fast track the band a bit, because I was just like really eager to play live shows, I bashed out an EP for us, and then got Rianne to hop on, do all the vocals on the EP, and then we essentially had a set ready, so all we had to do is learn it and then we could start gigging. And then after that, it was always my intention to phase them out and write as a collective. So now what we do is me and Eleanor, our guitarist, will meet up, she'll come round, we'll have a day of just jamming, and we'll come up with pretty much like an entire kind of skeleton for a song, and then we'll track it, and then send it off to the rest of the girls, and then they'll have a little think, and then we get into the practice room, and then we slap bass, drums and vocals on it. Yeah, so that's how we've been doing it for the past few years now, and it works really well for us. I think as soon as you find a system that works, you're onto something good there.
Does that mean you have gigs and gigs of unfinished songs on your hard drive?
Yeah, we do have. We are a fan of scrapping songs. Because I try to be like, right, you need to trust your gut. If you start something and you're not keen on it already, don't waste time, because you can spend months and months trying to like a song. Yeah, so even for the EP, like, I mean, I probably shouldn't say it, but like whatever. So for the EP, Scarcity, it was meant to be 4 tracks, and it ended up being 3 just because we binned off so many songs, and we were like, we'd rather put 3 songs out there that we fucking love, rather than 3 great ones and 1 shit one that we hate.
So, been talking about the early days there as well. How much has your sound changed since you first started? Because I remember seeing you supporting June and Pine in the soup kitchen.
Oh, that was a really early one. That was one of the worst ones we've ever done.
I was going to say, that must have been very early on, because that must be about 3 or 4 years ago. And I've listened to the songs which are available now on streaming services, and it's almost like night and day.
Fuck, that was a bad one, man. I wish you got to a better one. We're good now, though. I think we were just like getting to grips with it, you know what I mean? That was very early. We were just getting to grips with it, and we were just trying to figure out what works best for us. And we've been massively influenced by like the hardcore scene. Because, you know, especially like festivals like Outbreak and that, shoegaze bands and hardcore bands go hand in hand on lineups. So we found ourselves getting asked to be on like a lot of hardcore lineups as like, you know, the novelty shoegaze band, which I don't mind. I love that. But then we started being like, we can get heavy, like we can do heavy too. And we're all like massive metal fans, and we're all massive hardcore fans. So we just couldn't pick one thing, and we just kind of wanted to do both. Yeah. So obviously, yeah, at first we were like quite tame, and we've just gotten heavier. And now we're at a different turning point where we're like, actually, we're kind of just leaning more towards the shoegaze stuff. So I think now we're like low-key phasing out a bit of the heaviness and just concentrating on some just like not positive, uplifting tracks, but you know, just like some nice music to listen to. It's changed a lot, and I think it will always change, because again, we will never settle for like one thing, because we will just get too bored too easy.
Yeah, I think that's a good way. I think that's a good thing to do for a band, you know, keep evolving. I mean, there are plenty of bands out there that just, you know, stick to the same formula over and over again. But
yeah, and the last thing you want is like, you know, if you're like playing a song on stage and you can look at the audience and you can tell they're bored, that kills me inside. I can never do that. So, you know, I think if we feel entertained with it, we know that people watching hopefully will as well.
And just for the record, that gig wasn't that bad.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It's when the synth comes in at the end, because we never really nailed the timing on the arpeggio on the synth with everything else. That's
It must have been a tough first gig though as well, really, when you're playing with like, you know, 2 reasonably big heavyweights within that sort of progressive.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, I'm like forever grateful to Sammy from The Beauty Witch for chucking us on that. And he puts amazing lineups on all around Manchester. So we're always bothering him in his DMs, being like, "Hi, please can you put us on a gig?" So yeah, big shout out to him for that, because that was, yeah, we felt like that was kind of like a big deal for a band that had barely played 2 or 3 shows.
Where did you find inspiration for your lyrics and melodies from?
A lot of it is definitely from, well, so we had a big theme for the double EPs, and that was taken off a big flood that happened in Manchester in 1872, I believe. So the flood, it was a big river burst, flood went through cemeteries, it unearthed like 97 corpses and spread them all across the city centre. So, you know, in my head I was like, imagine waking up to work and opening your front door and there's just body parts I mean, that's insane, and it took them a good couple of weeks to like clean it up. And also, so that along with the changes that we are seeing in Manchester at the moment, where it's just turning into like a London. It's just another London now. And the prices are going up and all these fucking high-rise buildings being built that no one can afford to live in except posh people that come in from elsewhere. You know, the locals are getting just chucked to one side, and that was like a big inspiration for us for those 2 EPs specifically. But for other stuff and for newer stuff that we are doing, nature is always a huge inspiration. You know, we've got a couple songs named after like poisonous flowers, and the lyrics that Rianne writes, and she's amazing at like creating this imagery through lyrics, and she's always really descriptive with locations or, you know, within the song. So I definitely think it's a huge one is nature and spooky shit, you know, a bit mist.
So are you self-producing, or are you going to the studio to record?
So I track everything except drums. So I'll just get them all one by one and we'll track everything at mine. And then the person who's mixed all of our stuff is Cameron Wilson from Lurin. So me and our drummer, Broughty, we're both in Lurin as well. So I'd recommend checking that out.
You are a great band there,
Thank you. Yeah, Cam's a fucking genius. Like, he's a whiz. He really is. So yeah, he's always mixed and mastered us, and then he'll get into a room with Broughty and mic up drum kit, and he'll track the drums, and then I'll just send everything over to him, and he washes it out. So we've got a pretty simple system. I think we are very heavy on the DIY stuff, mainly because no one's got money these days. You know, I'd love to book a fucking residential and stay somewhere with a swimming pool for like 2 or 3 weeks and like take my time demoing. I'd love that more than anything, but no, I'm DIY now.
So, obviously, when you're not recording and you're not writing, do you all have specific roles within the band, like your social media, your artwork, your bookings?
Pretty much everything goes through me, to be honest. But that's like mainly because that's my thing, really, because I have my degrees in filmmaking and videography and photography, so luckily I can handle all that stuff in-house without having to outsource it. And then yeah, all gig bookings, all social medias run by me. Rihanna, singer, is talking about opening up a TikTok so we can film some more stuff and get that on there, like live sessions and stuff. And then Eleanor is absolutely amazing at like doing tickets on doors and selling merch. She's the best saleswoman. I could never. So I'm always eternally grateful to Eleanor for being such a great saleswoman. And then Holly, our bassist, she's new. So we added her in maybe like 5 months ago, I want to say. But she's already coming up with like so many great ideas and additions. She's like the music tech whiz, so it's great to have that. And then Broughty, she's just a class entertainer. Our drummer, she just entertains everyone. That's enough for me.
Excellent.
So back to your live music, how you find the local scene?
How did we find the local
Yeah,
scene?
well, you know,
Or how are we finding it?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
how you finding it?
It started off like really, really nice. That, you know, it was a really close-knit community, and like Cam, who mixes us and that, he started Anti-Mine and he would put local shows on, and we had a really good community going on there. But I think, you know, over the years everyone kind of just goes off in their own little direction, so at the moment that's kind of why we've just prioritized working with new promoters and really wanting to get out of town and get out of Manchester, to get out and about a bit, because, you know, I think we got really comfortable playing the same venues with our mates and the same people,
Yeah.
and we were like, we need to be big girls now, and we need to do some big girl steps, because we used to just play the Pier Hat all the time, which is a fucking great venue for local bands as well, and it's cheap to hire, it's easy to run, and Matty the sound guy is really good. And we used to literally just play Pier Hat for like a couple years, and I was like, right, girls, we need a rule. We need like one Pier Hat gig a year now. And that's where we're back next Tuesday, when we've not played there in like over a year. So that's nice.
So how have you gone down when you've played outside of Manchester now? How have the shows been?
Pretty good actually, because we don't really have any expectations when we play out of town, because we're like, oh, no one knows us. Like, it's, you know, it's cool. These are the first steps any band has to take when they play out of town.
Yeah.
But, you know, we played last year. We went down to London for the first time, and we played Cardiff as well. And everyone was super friendly, really well received, and people came up to us after being like, that was so fucking good, that was sick, and I was like, thank you so much. So it's been surprisingly, like, it's always been positive, it's always been really positive. We've never really had a negative gig experience, which is nice in terms of crowd and how we're received.
Yeah. Awesome.
Has playing outside of Manchester changed how you see the local scene in Manchester now? Or
it does put it into perspective, and it does make me grateful for what we do have, because especially, like, obviously I don't live in London, so I can't talk for London, but I do sense a disconnect in London, and I do kind of feel like most bands are out to do their own thing, where I feel like maybe because Manchester's is smaller and it's close knit, so I feel like, you know, people have each other's backs, and they'll always bring their mates on for shows, and they'll always have their mates feature in their tracks, and it's like a really nice crossover. So it definitely makes me grateful to be a part of a more close-knit community, for sure.
Have you got a gig moment that sticks with you, good or bad?
I think we put our first ever headliner show on. I think it was like 2 years ago now, because we just did like a Glasgow show and then back down to Manchester. So yeah, just kind of like for fun, and we hadn't done a headliner before, and we hadn't put our own gig on before, and that was our first one. And, you know, just the amount of people that turned out and the amount of people that bought merch, like, we sold so much fucking merch that day. I was like, I wasn't expecting it. I was like, who are you? Like, what? Why do you like this? And that blew us all away, and I think we still talk about that, and we're like, oh, remember that headliner? You know, and it's just nice to, like, you know, you pour your money and your time and your energy and your tears into it, and then to see it being, like, received like that, even though you're literally a band from nowhere, you're just like a small band, no one knows, and it does make it really special, for sure.
So is there a dream festival or venue that you'd love to play?
Yes, Arctangent, James Scarlett. If you're listening, James, please, I've been waiting years. Yeah, Arctangent, because every year there's a fucking sick lineup, and, you know, a lot of my favourite bands always get a good slot on Arctangent, and I've been, and it's like one of the chillest, nicest festivals in the UK. There's no bullshit, there's no like people getting drunk and swearing and fighting and mess. Everyone's really respectful, and yeah, I do think it's like a really good fest, so that would definitely be the dream one for us.
Are you going this year?
I am debating my financials this year, but I have got my eye on it, because obviously Chelsea Wolf's playing, and I love her, and there's so many good bands playing. So yeah, I did debate it, but But then Outbreak is another one that I'd love to get on that. I would. That'd be sick.
So there's any bands off each of those bills that you think people should go and listen to further down?
Yes. So Outbreak this year, Glixen are playing, and they're really cool. I think they're like not new, but like a fairly new up and coming shoegaze band. And then on Arctangent, I literally know so many bands on Arctangent, and now my mind has just gone blank because I've been put on the spot. Obviously our good mates from fucking Worn Out.
Yeah.
They're from Ireland, so they've just been announced on Arctangent, so I'm super proud of them. Very chuffed for them, and very well deserved as well. So I'd urge people to check them out.
So what's next for Deathbloom?
So with the recording and releasing of a double EP, we're a bit tired now because we did a whole like fucking 8-minute double music video, and that was all like in-house, and that was kind of like a lot. It was a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie, not in a bad way, but it's just nice sometimes to like set the bar for yourself and be like, I wonder if I can do this. So after that we are a bit tired, and we just want to enjoy all the new stuff we've written. So this year we're not going to do anything except gig. Again, eager to get out of Manchester and play with new bands, new promoters. We have written, we are still writing new stuff. We said we wouldn't, but we just can't help ourselves. So we're just going to write demos and just keep them on the down low and not really plan anything with them, and just write for the enjoyment of it. And literally just play gigs. Like, that's all we want to do this year.
So what was the idea behind a double EP? And was there ever any thoughts to maybe do it as just one album instead?
Yeah, for sure. Like, so our first EP is kind of like starts off really soft and then ends really heavy. So we were like, right, we've done that now. What else can we do where we can still do shoegaze and heavy stuff? So then we were like, okay, what if we did 2 EPs? One is shoegaze and one is heavy. So it's kind of expanding on the first EP. And then obviously we had the themes that we worked with the floods of Manchester. What was I going to say? I've literally only done like 2 of these interviews before. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
No, I was just asking what, the reasons behind going for the 2 EPs. And
That's it. Yeah, so it was mainly just to like, we still wanted to incorporate heavy stuff and shoegazy stuff. And that's mainly why we went for the 2 EPs. And then also, we said further along down the line when we have the band fund up, we wanted to do a vinyl release. So then one EP would be on one side and one on the other, and then you'd have both the artworks in it, and then also put it all on a CD as well. So we are currently looking into logistics of vinyl or CD. So that's one of the other reasons why we chose 2 EPs, because we liked the idea of having 2 separate pieces of work that could come in together as one.
Cool. So is there anything that you're working on now that feels new or challenging?
I wouldn't say challenging, but we have just written a new song and we played it for the first time last night. And it just feels really like a nice fresh direction for us. And we've all been really hyped about it, even though we won't be releasing it anytime in the near future. We're very excited to play it, and it's a bit more upbeat and a bit more droney, so we're very excited about that. Challenge wise, it's just, I mean, it's always a challenge, like getting out there and getting out of Manchester, and hopping on like tours and runs. It's a lot of work and planning that goes into that.
But people in a room's challenging enough to practice.
Well, you're telling me. Yeah, 100%. But just keep at it really, and try not to take everything too seriously, because it takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, that's it. You gotta have fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's it. We're going to move on to the fun questions now. So if you could have a personal theme tune that plays when you enter a room, what would it be?
Oh shit. I kind of like think of that, you know, the credit song on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like, that's like a classic. And I feel like that accurately represents my life.
Good answer. If you could listen to one album for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Easy. Marriage's EP, Kitsune.
Right.
I fucking love it. I can't get enough of it. That is what got me into post-rock.
Really?
And have you heard of Marriages?
Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
Song. I've got that.
Yeah, amazing. That's great as well. Yes, and then I discovered Marriages, and then through Marriages, I discovered Emma Ruth Rundle, I discovered Chelsea Wolfe, I discovered Russian Circles, and it just opened a whole new world to me. So that EP for Marriages is like really important to me. Yeah, I love that.
If you could collab with, if you have another musician collab on one of your songs, who would it be?
Oh shit. There's so many. I think Holy Fawn would be so cool. I think we'd complement each other
Cool.
if we worked on a song. I'm gonna go with that.
Who'd be the loudest, though?
Who'd be the loudest?
Yeah.
Well, you've got 5 women in a band, so
If you could swap lives with somebody for 24 hours, who were you picking and why?
if I could. Oh no, there's too. I don't know. Who would it be? To be honest, I know it's a really shallow response, but just like anyone that owns a villa in a swimming pool, just because I would like a little holiday. And I don't really get life envy too much.
Yeah, you got a swimming pool on a villa.
I just want a holiday, really. So preferably in like the areas of like Mauritius, maybe that would be nice.
What's the most cursed piece of gear you've ever owned?
A fucking pod. I'm gonna chuck it out the fucking window. It's the first thing I ever had was like, what is it called? A pod 500. Yeah, Pod 500X or something like that. Yeah, and it's just a big fucking black thing with knobs on it, and you preset all the shit. So, and I had one, and actually, that is what caused me to have my first ever mental breakdown during a Deathbloom gig. Because no sound was coming out, and it was one of my first gigs, and the sound guy was like, can you just pick a tone and make it work? And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, and that went to shit. So I bought another one. I made the mistake. I was like, it's just bad luck. I'm just gonna get another one because I know how to use it. Yeah. And I got another one, and that shit the bed as well. So then I fucked it off, and I just went with pedals, which I should have done from the beginning. I know, but it's money, and it's what I had at the time. So yeah, fuck pods.
Yeah, it's the one thing with pedals. It's better than multi-effects, but it's so dangerous, and it's a slippery slope as well once you start going.
Yeah, and once you know, it's like if a pedal goes, boo-hoo, you replace one pedal. If that goes, it's your whole rig.
What's your favourite pedal?
So has to be my Blue Sky from Strymon, and they've just mastered reverb effects. And I mean, I don't call myself this, but people call me the reverb queen, and I'll take it. So yeah, Strymon, Big Sky, and they have the other one called Blue Sky as well, and it's just the most beautiful ethereal reverb out there, and you can put a shimmer on it, and you can have the tail last about 10 seconds, which is what I like. So yeah, big fan of that.
Expensive.
I buy everything second hand.
If you had to pick a mascot for your life, what creature are you choosing?
A mascot for my life? What creature? I don't think this is generic, but I think Medusa. That's pretty hardcore. Does that count? She can be a mascot, right? It doesn't have to be like a cartoony character. Yeah, I'd pick Medusa because she's fucking sick. And obviously I'm half Greek, so I'm gonna do that, aren't I?
Yeah.
Have you got a current song that's on repeat?
Yes. So I am like quite autistic the way I listen to music, and I mean that genuinely. Like I do have ADHD and stuff. I'm not using it as a fun word. And I just discovered an artist called James Kay, and it's like her solo kind of electronic shoegaze project. And she's got a song called Blink Moth. And when I tell you, I've listened to only that one song on repeat for the last 3 weeks at the minimum. I'm not lying. I've not had a desire to listen to anything else, because that has been fulfilling me so much. I can't like express enough how amazing that song is. So I think everyone should go listen to that. And she's just announced a tour, and she's only playing London, and I'm like, fuck's sake, now we're going out to London. I don't like London.
And we'll finish up this section. You get one superpower, but it can only help you with boring life admin. What is it going to be?
One superpower to help with boring admin. I mean, answering emails. Anything that could answer the emails for me as a power, or messages, that would be great. If I could like telepathically tap into a device and just write a reply, like say a reply in my head and it sends it, I would actually get around to everyone then.
Good answer.
I mean, the amount of times I have to reword emails in work before I send them.
I'd have a little spell check procedure at the end. I'd review it before I send it.
We're going to move on to the quick fire questions now. So, vinyl or streaming?
I'm obviously going to say vinyl because fuck Spotify.
Wow, go on, Chris.
Night gigs or daytime festivals?
Pardon?
Night gigs or daytime festivals?
Night gigs.
A chaotic cat or an over-friendly dog?
Over-friendly dog.
Chelsea Wolfe or Emma Ruth Rundle?
Chelsea Wolfe.
Bacon frazzles or onion rings?
Bacon frazzles.
Wall of feedback or reverb shimmer?
Long feedback.
Tea or coffee?
Over-the-ear headphones or in-ear?
In-ear.
A sausage roll dipped in hot chocolate or a donut dipped in gravy?
Donut and gravy.
And I think that is the last question, is it, Lee?
Yeah, we'll go on the...
How did you come up with that last one?
I've had a week off work, so it's been...
No, I love that. It makes you think about stuff that you've never thought about before.
I'm still not trying it. Thank you for coming on, Sophia. Is there anything that you want to plug before we close off? This will be released on Mondays.
Yeah, just like maybe we are putting on a gig ourselves next month on the 21st of March because Wildernesses from London were ever so kind as to host us in London when we did our little tour. So we did a gig swap, so now it's our turn to host them. And we're playing at the Pint Pot in Salford. And a lovely post-rock band also are on called, I'm sorry if I get it wrong, Kusanagi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to like check that poster 50 times before I put it out just to make sure I spelled it right, because I don't want to be that dickhead that doesn't. But yeah, so that's mainly it. If people want to come down to that, and because we need to pay everyone, so that'll be. But it's going to be a really fun night, and it's always nice putting stuff on ourselves, and I think we're aiming to do more of that this year anyway. So yeah, but thank you so much for having me on and having interest in our music and listening to us. I really appreciate that a lot.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.